I updated you over the last couple of weeks with the big whale dump. All right, if you remember last 2 weeks ago, I talked about a whale dumping 24,000 Bitcoin on the exchange that pushed us from 120,000 down to the 107 level. Well, update that. Whales have dumped 115,000 Bitcoin in the last 30 days. Now, what is considered a whale? As of today, a whale is anyone that holds between 1,000 to 10,000 K balance or more. Right? And so what you see on the chart here is this is a chart of the total balance of Bitcoin, all right, or the total balance of cryptocurrency. And the purple is the total balance of Bitcoin. And what we're also seeing is a couple lines on there, the 30-day change, and then the red is the 7-day crypto balance. This might look like a lot of noise to those of you that are looking at this chart right now. Let me spell this out for you, is what's happening. See the red square down there in the lower right-hand corner? That is the amount of Bitcoin that has been diluted. The change in Bitcoin has been diluted. And what's actually happened is, as you can see here, there's been about 115,000 Bitcoin that have been pushed on the exchange. What's more interesting is that Bitcoin has not dropped below 100,000, because when you see that much Bitcoin going on the exchange, there's only about 2 million Bitcoin that's actually in play, right? And you may wonder, well, if Michael Saylor or if Jack Mallers or 21.com, or if they're buying, and if nation states are buying, and if corporations are buying, how come that doesn't reflect in the up move in Bitcoin? Well, it's because a lot of those get bought off exchange, and they're periodic buyments. They're actually floated in. Where when we see a whale's dumping on Coinbase, a whale's dumping on Bitrex, whales are dumping on various exchanges. And that will significantly change the Bitcoin immediately because of the amounts of bids and offers that are above and below exchange traded coin. So what did that do? That took Bitcoin from the 120K level down to 107. And it's floated around 107. Well, we've come back, even though we've had additional coin sells of the 1,000K or more. Bitcoin is hovering around just north of 112,000. This is actually really interesting when you look at it. And there's a little bit more. I'm not saying we're out of the woods yet. What I'm saying is that the whale dumping might or might not be something that happens every year. So if you take a look at the Fibonacci chart, we've seen at this time, as we head into August. August is typically a bullish month, and we did see Bitcoin closing high on Bitcoin of 123,375. My support level was down there around 105,375, and while it looks like that's a more lower probability of happening by the end of September, it's still there. Why is it still there? Take a look at this chart. This is the Bitcoin seasonality update. And I'm going to show you, this is just September. So what I did was I took BTC, the last 10 years, and I threw it into my money calendar. And I ran a crypto scan on this. And what we typically see for the next 20 to 25 days, right? 20 to 25 days, we see a 70 to 80% chance that Bitcoin could trade lower. Lower from where? Lower from here. Now, how much lower could we go? If you take a look here, that 8 to 9,000, that would put us down in the just above the 100,000 level. If we took 8,600 off of where we are today, that might put us around 104. That's the biggest move we see down. The smaller moves are in the sixes area. So it does put us right down there around that 105 area if it were to happen. But I want to mention too, this is a 10-year update. When I went to a 7 and a 5, things actually got progressively more bullish. And the reason why is that, why look at 5 years ago versus 10? Because 10 years ago, we didn't have nations investing in Bitcoin. 10 years ago, we didn't have the kind of companies. We may have had a handful of companies. When I say handful, I'm saying less than 5. And probably no publicly traded companies investing in Bitcoin. Maybe Tesla at the time, when they were on again, off again. Overstock.com might be another one I can think of, on again, off again. But the seasonality long term still shows some bearishness left in the tank for the next couple weeks of September. Hey, I'm Tom Gentile, America's pattern trader, and my money calendar patterns can deliver a year's worth of stock profits or more in just 31 days on average. But if you trade options like I do, you can target 100% or more. And when you grab this month's money calendar, you get access to my 7-part cash course designed to teach you exactly how I do it. Scan the QR code or click the link below to get started for just $9. Bitcoin, I look at it this: short-term pains equal long-term gains. We've got to get through these few weeks before the seasonalities, before the trends start to get better. Take a look at Bitcoin versus the price of Bitcoin versus the global monetary supply. And what this is this is a lag on Bitcoin where we are right now. And what I mean by lag is there's a 102-day lag. If you take the price of Bitcoin and you slide it back 102 days from where the M2 is, it's quite interesting where it is right now. And you see this this lag on Bitcoin. If we were to push forward 102 days, which, by the way, 102 days take us into December, then we'll see that that puts us up to around, guess where? 170,000. That's insane. That's not my number, but it's a very positive number for Bitcoin if we follow the bouncing ball, which has actually gone very, very well for the chart that we see in front of us. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that in 2025, we've gone from 60 to 150 publicly traded companies buying Bitcoin. So as you can see here, most of them are all in the area of Bitcoin treasury companies. And I'm talking about companies that are actually using Bitcoin and putting it on their ledger as a holding, as a treasury company. But then you've got technology companies that have Bitcoin on their ledger, like Block, all right? And then you've got Rumble that's also on there. And you've got cryptocurrency companies, the exchange companies. Coinbase is one of those. DeFi is one of those as well. Digital X, where not only are they exchanges, but they're holding crypto as well. You've got energy companies out there that are holding crypto. Companies like BlackRock, all right? And BlackRock is a finance company. You got healthcare companies like SBC, right? Media companies, Tesla itself, Bitcoin services and miners. There are even retail firms like GameStop that hold Bitcoin. And 4 of these 150 companies, public companies, are in the S&P 500. So slowly they're starting to make their way as part of the S&P 500. And I believe the only thing left to really push the narrative here, where all of a sudden everybody's going to dump in, is if strategy becomes part of the S&P 500. It didn't make the grade last week. I do believe we're going to see a Christmas miracle as strategy will become part of the S&P 500. And that announcement would more likely come, if not the end of the year, would happen just after January 1st. So, last thing I want to mention is that Bitcoin's best quarter as a seasonal asset is Q4. Right? There are 2 areas where Bitcoin makes its big runs. That is February, March, and April, all right? And then also October, November, and December. October, November, December see the biggest moves, where we see, on average, 60+% for that particular quarter. So gear up, because if history repeats itself, folks, we're in for a really nice awakening to the upside. My base case is still 138 to 150K. The bad news, which has come out, which with the whales, has recently been met with bids above 110 here recently for Bitcoin. I still think maybe we could drop into 105 if the short-term seasonals still repeat themselves. But the most likely time scenario for moving higher is looking to be October through December, through this big seasonal run.